one bright spot, even though it's backward looking, was the jobs report last month. We talked about that earlier, how it came out and was better than expected. The economy added 228,000 jobs last month, which was more than economists were looking for. Okay. Abraham Enriquez is the founder and president of Bienvenido US, is a leading voice for Hispanic conservatives in the country, active in voter mobilization, U.S.-Mexico policy, joins us now. It's good to have you on. I brought up the jobs report because this matters to all communities, right? But I wanted to ask you about it. And it's in the backdrop of this terrible stock market performance the last few days. What are you hearing from people that you talk to about the economy right now? Anxiety, frustration? What are you hearing?
Yeah, well, great to be with you. Thanks for the invitation. And I'll start by saying this, you and I both know markets are emotional. They respond based on headlines, not so much outcomes. As Benjamin Graham actually said it, markets in the short run are a voting machine. In the long runs, they are a weighing machine. And so investors have a right to be a little bit spooked right now. But ultimately, the markets, they settle around fundamentals. No one knows this better than President Trump, which is why he is negotiating from a position of strength, thinking long-term about the American worker, producers, and really national resilience. And, that's what we're seeing with the jobs report as well.
So you think the confidence is in the president from his supporters, you being one of them, is still there. Let's explore that a little bit more. I want to play a quick clip from the Federal Reserve Chairman today, because there's been the one last time we were in a pickle, so to speak. It was the Fed that comes to the rescue, starts cutting rates, and the president wants them to do that again. Here's what Jerome Powell, though, said in part in Virginia. Watch.
We face a highly uncertain outlook with elevated risks of both higher unemployment and higher inflation. The new administration is in the process of implementing substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. Our monetary policy stance is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties we face as we gain a better understanding of the policy changes and their likely effects on the economy.
Now, my read on that, Abraham, is that we're not doing anything tomorrow, right? We're going to stick as is for now. We'll see what happens. And Powell also said this was a little bit more than we expected. So he's going to sit back and wait. The president, meantime, wants him to cut interest rates. Again, what are you hearing from people you talk to?
Well, look, I think that there's a clear disconnect between mainstream and Wall Street, and we've seen it in the past 24 hours. But look, no one has a better poker face when it comes to free trade and negotiations than President Trump. I believe that tariffs, it's not a long-term thing. It's just a way to rebalance, restructure, and trade. But look, President Trump understands one thing, that America first doesn't mean America alone. And we saw that with USMCA still even being in place. Right. President Trump leaning on Mexico and Canada as trading partners. So I think that we're going to see the benefits of that in long term. And the people on the ground, these mainstream voters that put President Trump in office, have a lot of strength.
That's one of the questions. What are you hearing about that? Because we were talking about it from a politician standpoint, that some Republicans, we've had some on our show, by the way, some Senate Republicans. Ron Johnson was a little bit like this yesterday. Rand Paul's been outspoken. They're starting to say, all right, this is not our thing, Ted Cruz. But what about real people that supported him? Because he got a lot of support, for example, in the Hispanic community. Are people, they're not starting to turn on him, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. No, Hispanics, as we know, they are the demographic that is starting businesses at a faster pace than any ethnic demographic. Our Empresarios Coalition, made up of business leaders, we had a phone call just the other day. And it was so inspiring, really, to see how these mom and pop business owners are starting to feel like someone is listening to them and are excited of bringing these jobs back home and increasing wages and employment opportunities. So it's interesting to see how politicians that probably don't understand how to balance a budget sheet and these mom and pop business owners are kind of differentiating themselves on this issue. What I'm seeing on the ground, what I'm hearing on the ground, these small mom and pop business leaders are really excited to continue to support these economic tariffs because they know that in the long run, it's going to help their businesses. It's going to put America back on track.
See how patient they are. It'll be interesting. That's interesting to hear from you. Interesting to see if they stay that way. Thank you, Abraham.